Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video, and today I wanted to talk about Star Wars #1 in the CGC 9.8. You know, as the title says, is Star Wars #1 CGC 9.8 worth buying? Because in the past this is a book that I've recommended, and I think it's a unique time to talk about a Star Wars comic, and this is kind of the Star Wars comic to get, because Rise of Skywalker is coming out in theaters, and we just had a trailer drop for that movie as well. So if that does really good, kind of depends on, you know, how the movie does. You know, this book could get pretty hot. And if you're a bit of a regular watcher of this channel, a lot of times I don't really recommend to buy books after a trailer or after a movie comes out or something like that, because the prices tend to be elevated. And I'm seeing some evidence in that. So of some of the prices for this book in the CGC 9.8, some of the prices are going up. So yeah, let's just kind of, you know, take a look at the census and look at the prices and everything. But Star Wars #1, it is kind of the book to have if, you know, you're a Star Wars fan, and if you maybe had to buy one book as an investment grade type of book, Star Wars #1 would certainly be it. You know, I wanted to mention that this is the 30-cent variant. There's the 35-cent variant out there, and in my Overstreet price guide, it says there's 1,500 of those ever printed. So there's only 1,500 of them out there, apparently. So extremely rare in the 35-cent version. So, you know, if that's kind of in your budget, maybe go after the 35-cent version. But for me, I just think, you know, it's kind of a great deal just to get the 30-cent version. This came out before the movie came out, so a lot of people have that. Sometimes they say it's kind of a knock against this book, but this book did come out as a part of the promotion like months before the movie came out. So it really is kind of the first appearance of Star Wars in culture kind of thing. That's a thing. But the 30-cent you know, version in the CGC 9.8 still kind of affordable. So yeah, let's take a look on the CGC census. There's 583 CGC 9.8s in the blue label out there. 583, so one of 583. Yeah, lucky enough to kind of have one that has really nice colors and was centered nicely, and that's kind of why I really jumped on this one. Just looked really good in the auction. Even, you know, sort of better is the CGC 9.8 ratio is, out of all graded copies, 7.4% are CGC 9.8s, and that's really low. And, you know, this is a 70s book, 1977, so, you know, an older book, you expect that ratio to be lower, but still like to see that. Super low ratio. There's, like, triple the amount of 9.6s and 9.4s as there is of the 9.8, about triple. Like, I think it's just a little under triple. Like, there's 583 CGC 9.8s. There's like 1,500 9.6s, and similar amount of 9.4s. Another thing too, worth mentioning, no 9.9s and no 10s. So a CGC 9.8 is the highest graded book that you can expect to get as a, you know, a Star Wars collector in comics. So it's, you know, a really good collector item, I would say. And, you know, 35-cent variants out there, if that's in your budget, I would, you know, I'd go after that. So, you know, quickly, I want to kind of just give, like, 3 reasons why I think this book is, like, really good. And then we'll get into prices, because, yeah, definitely seeing some evidence in the prices that they're starting to firm up, maybe starting to possibly be on an, you know, an upward tick here if Rise of Skywalker does really good. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. But I think the first thing with Star Wars, you get an iconic brand. It's a really iconic brand. Disney purchased Lucasfilms about maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. So if you can imagine Disney purchasing Lucasfilms 6 or 7 years ago, about 10 or 12 years ago, Disney purchased Marvel Entertainment. And you can imagine all the movies that have come out since then, just nonstop, back to back to back to back. So, you know, Disney's really aggressive with their production. So that's what's going to happen with Star Wars. So Star Wars is going to be around forever. It's you know, it's not one of those books that's going to get hot and then, you know, really cool down and, like, you're going to have a hard time selling it or anything like that. Like, just I think all the time Star Wars is going to be around in our culture. It's a really iconic brand, and that's kind of the first reason. Kind of gets right into the second reason, is for such an iconic brand in the CGC 9.8 for a 70s book, it's still affordable, somewhat affordable. certainly, I've been recommending. I probably made about 3 Star Wars videos in the past like 4 or 5 months, recommending Star Wars books, and this book specifically. And many sold during that period for $850. I think if you got lucky, you could even get it closer to $8. My book I bought about a year ago, and ended up being about $930. Really good colors though, really nicely centered for this one. It's just such a crisp issue. So, I think the kind of auction just looked really good in the pictures, and maybe ended up overpaying, $75 to $100 or so. But, so it's still somewhat affordable. Under $1,000. Doing some of the pricing research, and we'll get into some details. But the cheapest one on eBay right now is $1,000, like $999.99. But when I was really recommending this, many were selling for $850, and I thought that was a really good price to get, a CGC 9.8, one of 583. And yeah, I think there's some potential for this book to heat up. And yeah, the third thing is it looks good on the census. So, having only 583, that CGC 9.8 ratio at 7.4%. And yeah, again, like many more 9.6s and 9.4s than the CGC 9.8 book. And that's always really good to see. There's like triple the amount of 9.4s and 9.6s. So yeah, even though it's not the 35-cent version, it's still pretty rare if you buy the CGC 9.8 books. And that's why I always sort of go after CGC 9.8 books, because I could still kind of afford them in the, in the 80s and 90s and sometimes in the 70s. And there's always it's like a 1 of 500, 1 of 400, 1 of, 900, whatever it might be, but it's like usually like a really limited number, and as a collector you like to see that kind of thing. So yeah, talking about prices here, so I got the last 4 that have sold on eBay, and one thing to note is in the last 9 days I haven't seen any sell, which kind of surprises me, given that Rise of Skywalker trailer kind of hit. So I think the one that had sold last on eBay was $1,140, and it was looking pretty good. And I think that could have been literally like right after the trailer. The next one sold for $998. One sold for $836. This was about a month ago now, $836. And another one sold about a month ago for $1,020. So, the high being $1,140. The low about a month ago being $836. You're not seeing any on eBay for like around 900 or under 900 basically. Yeah, cheapest on eBay was $999.99 right now. And that one looked okay. It, wasn't as good looking as this one, I don't think. So there are some on eBay right now for, $1,150, $1,200. Looking pretty good too, crisp pages and well centered in new cases. So yeah, you know what? I think certainly this was a book that I recommended to grab. In the past 4 or 5 months in the CGC 9.8, I think really good investment grade book for those reasons. Super iconic Star Wars brand, never going away. Disney owns them now, so you can expect the sort of Avengers type of movie, one after the other, with new characters and movies and shows to happen with Star Wars in the next coming 10 years. So I think that just sets it up good long term. Kids are going to be watching those videos ingrained in their minds and culture, and when they grow up and get money, they're going to want Star Wars #1 CGC 9.8. So I think it works out, in that way. But at this time, with that Rise of Skywalker, show just dropping, you got to be careful, I would say. I think right now, if an auction popped up of a really good looking CGC 9.8, there might be a chance that it would go for like 1,100 if it looked really good in the pictures, and because I think there's a lot of fans kind of coming out of the woodwork now that trailer has come out. And again, if this movie's a pretty big hit, I could see that being more of a problem. However, on eBay right now, there's one for $999, and I paid like $930 for mine in a fire sale 7-day auction on eBay was my price. So, that doesn't seem too bad. Like $70 more for this pretty much the same book. It's in a new case too for $9.99. and there's like 30 watchers to it, so I'm assuming that it might go pretty quick, pretty soon. So, you know, at this point in time, is it worth to buy it? I think, you know, right now, if you're kind of watching this video, and you might get a bit of a lull in between the release of the movie and this last trailer that just came out like a week ago. So it could be a decent time to buy now. I think if the movie comes out and it does really well, you're probably going to want to wait that like 3 to 4 month time for when it just kind of goes out of the theaters, and then maybe before it comes out on Blu-ray and things like that, which kind of happens really quick. So you might even just want to wait until, you know, the prices really cool off. But, you know, I think if you do have a long-term view on this book, and, you know, be diligent on your searching, and if you really do want this book, and be diligent searching for auctions and things like that, if you can find it for under $1,000 with a long-term view in the CGC 9.8, I think that's going to be a pretty good buy. Certainly if you plan to hold for like 10 or 20 years, which is kind of, that's what I envision myself doing with my collection. You know, all the books I bought in the last 2 years, hopefully I can hold them for over 20 years maybe. So yeah, if that's your time frame, I think you'll do really well. But you know, I wouldn't, if you have a shorter term type of time frame, I don't think it's a good time to buy now, because the promotion is starting to kick up, and you probably won't be able to grab one in an auction for like, what was the low? $836 was one of the lows in kind of the last 2 months of what sold on eBay. I doubt you'll be able to get that type of deal on, like, if you can, and then flip it into the movie, maybe that's a great, if you can look at during this lull. But again, if you did watch some of the videos we've done on Star Wars in the last 3 to 4 months, it was a really good time to buy, because even like on the internet, there's a lot of, if there's not a Star Wars movie coming out, there seems to be a lot of hate for Star Wars, just based on a lot of the political, like, social justice warrior things and all that, which I don't get too much into. But you know, it seems to get a lot of hate with how the direction that the new movies are going. So in between the movies, these books are a bit cool. They're cooling off quite a bit, and I thought that was a good, you know, market to buy this book in. But right now, it's tough. You know, be patient. If you got a long-term view, then maybe, you know, grab one if an auction comes up and you can get it under $1,000, I would say, for the CGC 9.8 white pages. But yeah, for a lot of those reasons, you know, this came out before the movie. I think that's one of the misconceptions. People think like the movie came out and then they made this as an adaptation. Like, this came out before the movie came out as a part of the promotional material. So overall, like, you know, first appearance of Star Wars in comics, I think it's a good, iconic first appearance in the CGC 9.8, a good investment grade book. Okay, if you haven't already, I'd totally invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. When you press subscribe, the bell pops up. Hit the bell, get all our latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter too. We've got the links in the description below. Yeah, I'm active on Instagram mostly now, so I still post on Twitter, but if you want to send me a message, send it to me on Instagram. But yeah, that'll be it for this video. You know, I guess, you know, a part of the, you know, is Star Wars CGC, number 1 CGC 9.8 worth buying? You know, it's tough to say like a yes or no right now. I think I almost want to say no, but you know, if some good deals start popping up before the movie comes out, then maybe you can jump on them if you're kind of seeing this video early. But I would say be careful, but in the long term, yes, you know, Star Wars number 1, I think, in the CGC 9.8, with only 583 of them out there, you know, 1 of 583 for such an iconic first appearance ever in comic books, I think is a really good book. So, yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.